This should be played on high volume, preferably in a residential area.
GameWorn Radio is on the air.
Something scored! Off in the Cordova, baby! We're going bowling. Now, let's go on Boots on a Harley. The fires, he scores! LA face with an Oakland movie. Make me a bicycle. They score! Mister, pay that man his money.
GameWorn Radio.
Hey everybody, it's there, GameWorn Radio, part of GameWorn.us, and I am joined with some of the guys from the usual crew and a special guest, Barry Meisel from the MeiGray group. How's everybody doing?
Hey Derek, how's it going? Good to be
I might
here.
have to boot Dan if he's too damn loud over there. Dan, shut up.
I don't think you can hear me.
We can hear you just fine and everything in the background, man.
It's my phone. I'm trying to fix my computer.
Alright, so we got our
Hey, Marco, what's off, dude?
we got our special guest Barry on the call with us today. He approached us a couple weeks ago after our show and expressed interest to talk about the upcoming program for the new Las Vegas Golden Knights. Very exciting stuff.
Yeah, Derek, we were really happy. We reached out to the Knights probably 6 months ago. We thought it'd be a great idea to bring our MeiGray approach to a team before day one. Never before, in our hobby, our hobby as we know it now is probably 20, 25 years old. Do we get a chance to work with a team from pre-day one to help them plan their game-worn jersey program with an eye on the collectors? Keeping in mind that there are many competing interests. The team itself wanting to archive certain relics. The Hall of Fame is obviously going to want to be involved. And for the collectors to be able to know from day one, with the way we inventory, authenticate, and keep our population report, we'll be able to know the complete history of the Vegas Golden Knights game-worn jerseys from day one. So it's pretty exciting. When I first met with them, I didn't know how they would react to that, but they were completely on board. They got the concept. George McPhee, I've worked with for many years. I was GM in Golden Knights, of course. He was GM in Washington, and MeiGray has worked with Washington for 15 years. So from day one, when I started outlining what we thought would be the vision, they agreed, they liked the idea, and they're very interested in preserving their history, both for the fans and the collectors and themselves and the Hall of Fame. So we're excited.
Yeah, I noticed, I've talked to Stu a little bit, and it sounds like you guys have a lot of interest already in the new team, and that's even before we even are aware of what kind of a fan base that they will have.
Yeah, the interest was amazing, the outpouring. I think this is the first NHL expansion in 17 years. The jersey looks really cool. I think a lot of people are caught up in the fact Vegas is a brand new market, and Vegas isn't like what we all thought of Vegas a generation ago. So it's an up-and-coming sports town, and to be able to get, people love firsts. The first edition of everything is pretty exciting. We're going to be wearing inaugural patches. We're going to be doing something special for the inaugural games, both at home and on the road. So it's going to be a real good chance for people to get in on the ground floor, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and so it sounds like you guys are compiling a waiting list.
Yes. MeiGray has always done that, and where we welcome requests to put people on the waiting list, no obligation, but we get people to. We know that the people who are interested get first crack. It's not one of those things where we just throw them all online, and you better be awake at that time, or we reach out to the people who really want them. There are a lot of season ticket holders from the Vegas area, a lot of existing collectors in the Vegas area, and obviously now they've got their own team. So we expect interest to be mighty brisk.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I'm curious about maybe potentially getting one myself, but that's neither here nor there. I mean, they are definitely cool-looking jerseys, and it's really interesting that they're coming in with the introduction of the Adidas jerseys as well. So you kind of have the 1-2 punch combo on that.
Yeah, we were able to, as many of your fans and readers and people know, the MeiGray Expo was just July 15th, and we actually got Vegas to send us one of the one of the homes and roads. They only have about a dozen jerseys, and one of the homes and one of the roads that the draft picks were wearing at the entry draft, we had on display at the MeiGray Expo. And it's a pretty intricate jersey, and it created a lot of conversation. The new Adidas jerseys are creating a lot of conversation because of the different styling and the different makeup. But Vegas has this unique kind of glittery gold striping that almost feels like a fabric, and it's got texture to it and design. And from the GameWorn world, we're wondering how it's going to hold up, how it's going to mean for board burns and repairs and everything. So it created a lot of buzz at our expo, the jersey itself.
Do they have thirds this year?
No. With the new Adidas program, there are no thirds across the league.
Oh yeah, that's right.
There's a 1-year moratorium on thirds. Thirds will be discussed again in 18-19. I can't tell you. I don't think Vegas has decided if they're going to have a third. My guess, knowing that a new team will probably want to establish its home and road jerseys for at least a couple of years, but that's just a guess and an educated guess. I don't have any inside information on whether they're contemplating a third jersey yet. I do know that some teams, most of the teams that have had a third in the past, will probably reintroduce it in 18-19 or 19-20.
Hey, I got a quick question, Barry.
Sure.
Do you have to negotiate amongst like the players and the team and the Hockey Hall of Fame and other parties in terms of how many jerseys that MeiGray gets to keep out of the stock for that year, or is it?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you my stock answer is we don't talk business, but that's not a business question. When we negotiate with a team, we basically begin by explaining and making a presentation about our program, and then asking the questions, what is the team's approach? It starts with hockey operations, because we recognize, and have always recognized, that we only exist as a hobby because people care about the jerseys that are actually worn on the ice. It's not the other way around. Some teams like to wear 3 sets a year. Some teams like to wear 2 sets. Most teams tend to wear 2 plus the playoff set. So we start with that. And then I ask the relevant questions. How many sets do you want to wear? Then we go to the next step. Okay, you're a new franchise. What do you want to do in terms of shirt off that back night for fans? Do you want to give your players a jersey? The Hockey Hall of Fame is going to have these requests. And we basically build a program servicing all of the needs. There are some teams that have, not wanted to have a shirt off their back. Most do. There are some teams that don't have as much interest in archiving their own history. But clearly, the Vegas Golden Knights recognize the historic nature of their franchise. So from day one, they said, let's make sure we take into account that we want to archive key jerseys. And the Hall of Fame has already made some requests, as they always do. We know they want a jersey from the first game. We know they want a puck and a stick and those kinds of things. So that's how we build the program, taking everything into account.
What's the program for the Knights looking to be right now? What are some of the types of requests that they made, if you can share that information?
Sure. They're going to archive a set. And keep in mind, it is a work in progress because of the schedule just coming out. One of the things we're working on is the fact that they're not opening at home. And they have a lot of interest in their inaugural game in the new arena, which, by the way, I've seen it. It's amazing. It's kind of going to be the new state of the art. I mean, Rogers Place, I was there for that opener for the Oilers last year. These new buildings are just really amazing.
Little
and we said
Caesars
that
Arena.
Sorry?
Little Caesars Arena.
Yeah. That's
They got that crazy display, right,
That's
Derek?
right.
Yeah.
So the team wants to archive some a historic set. So we're going to do a special set for that first game and period by period jerseys for the first home game. So there's going to be a set for the historians, a set for the collectors, and a set for the team.
Which is completely understandable too. You kind of want everybody to have a little bit of piece of that first game, because that is some really, down to earth history. That is the history being happening. So as many people
Absolutely.
as you can cater to.
And there's precedent for that. We like to we like to take into account, and they asked a lot of questions about precedent. What have other teams done? What is standard? If a team came into existence and said, we'd like to wear 10 sets, we'd say, well, that's really not the way it goes in this hobby, and there's no reason for 10 sets. If they said we want to wear 10 sets because we don't even want a broad burn per game, different story. But they're on board with the 3 sets, the normal 3 sets over the course of the season, in addition to the special events at the beginning.
Excellent.
And so they're falling right in line with most teams.
Okay, yeah, I mean, definitely seems to be a standard. You go in there with a pretty good idea of what's going to go on.
Exactly.
Okay, so here's the most important question: what's the low and what's the high?
It's too early. It really is too early to tell. I honestly say we never have priced this early. Too much can happen. Too much can happen from who's on the roster, who they're going to sign. We know the interest is going to be high, and I am very, and I've always been very considerate of the existing marketplace. I'll look at what Winnipeg charged. They're the last new team to come into existence a couple of years ago. I'll look at what I think the market could bear, because the hobby has grown in the 3-4 years, maybe 5 years since Winnipeg, and also the cost of the jerseys themselves has gone up. When you talk about the product itself as a garment, and that's you always start with the fact that garment costs a certain amount of money to the team, and we start from there.
So
okay,
go ahead.
Go. Sorry, Derek.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Barry. So how many of these jerseys are you selling to Upper Deck so they can cut them up into little tiny pieces?
0. Upper Deck.
Hey, good man.
No, it's a good question. The Upper Deck, for people who don't know this, Upper Deck made a deal with the NHL several years ago. They get, I believe it's 15 jerseys from the league, and they require the teams to provide 15 jerseys. What every MeiGray team has done, and you probably have seen this if you've read the population reports over the last few years, is we'll have our teams literally, it's 15 jerseys, maximum of 5 players. So what almost every MeiGray team has done has had 5 players wear 3 jerseys in a game for 1 game. So you get 1 period of use in each of the 3 jerseys for 5 players, and those go to Upper Deck.
I don't think anyone can complain about that. That's not bad at all.
That's your answer. That's what MeiGray has done with all of its teams. We get that out of the way early because the league requires the teams to give them the Upper Deck early. We want to get it out of the way so it doesn't really inhibit. Basically what it does for the 5 players of Upper Deck's choosing, which is usually the 5 best players, it takes 1 game of use out of our world and enables them to cut them up into their little fingernail-sized pieces for the rest of the world.
Have you seen any of the videos of them actually cutting that up and then planning, like, we're going to use this section and then we're going to put this in the archives later, and it's just, ooh.
I have. Look, for years, this goes back about 18 years. I think the card company started calling me in 1999, maybe 98 for jerseys. I don't really have a position on it. What I want, I don't see the excitement or interest in cards, but I recognize that there are a lot of people who think we're crazy for collecting dirty laundry. So my feeling is to each his own. And the people who collect the cards and will pay hundreds of dollars for a 1-inch swatch of a Connor McDavid card with jersey, God bless them. My charge is to make sure that 1-inch swatch was actually worn and they're not running roughshod on the authentication. And that's where MeiGray comes in, because we know they've made a lot of mistakes and have done a lot of things that were sloppy. I won't call them unethical. I'll call them sloppy. But as long as they're allowing me as part of the program to provide them with game-worn jerseys, even if it's 1 shift, 1 period, whatever, then if a person wants to spend $3,500 on a Connor McDavid card, God bless them.
All right, well, forgive me for showing my hand, because I should probably position this a little bit more slighted, so I'm going to give it to you straight just to see if we can get you to comment. What's your take on Fanatics entering the game-worn jersey market?
Well, there are competitors, so, I don't mind competition. I've always felt the best way to handle competition is to be better than them at that. They are a multi-billion-dollar company that's great at selling T-shirts and doing the mass-produced items. they're poor at game-worn jersey authentication. We say that to every team when we meet with them. If they said, well, we have an offer from Fanatics, we show them. We understand that they're a different animal. I firmly believe that we are in a niche market that takes and needs great care to authenticate and do what we do properly. When I give the example, whether it's to a team or if I'm speaking at a group, 50 years ago, a team would hire a caterer to make the hot dogs and hamburgers at the ballpark. Nowadays, would you hire a caterer who makes hot dogs and hamburgers to make the sushi and the Italian food? No, you'd get specialists. We are a game-worn jersey specialist, and we don't believe Fanatics can properly handle the game-worn world because they don't know how to authenticate. They know how to sell.
They've definitely already showed their hand on that, and I mean it's not hard to find examples of everything that you're saying to be true.
Right, and we know that, and we do what we can to correct their errors as authenticators. We do what we can to every league we talk to, and it's not just hockey. I mean, we've been working with the NBA for 10 years. Fanatics runs the NBA store, but the NBA understands authentication needs to be done in the hands of an expert. Authentication means making sure and proving a jersey is real. It's not we could sell a jersey because it has a tag in it that says it was game worn. It's proving it was game worn. And that's what we do and have done for 20 years.
Well, I mean, they can't even get their records right. Like, there's the Centennial Classic. They can't even get the starting goaltender's documentation correct.
Well, the only thing I'll say to that is we can.
This has always been
almost anybody could.
It's always been my argument for MeiGray, is that the document checking in the records is pretty amazing. So Fanatics, like Derek was saying, is pretty much garbage in my opinion. I think they're out to lunch, but whatever you want.
Well, it's simply a case of how well you do your job. I mean, MeiGray, I have a team of people. I have a team of authenticators whose job is to prove the jerseys are real when they come from the teams. We will never say, and I have never said in my 20 years running this company, well, of course it's real. The team told us it was. No, our job is to tell the team this is how it should be done, and you're hiring us to stand behind your product. We don't expect you to authenticate out of the locker room. We know you wear hundreds of shirts, and there are going to be shirts that are not worn, and there are going to be mistakes and problems from your locker room end. When you hand us the stuff, we straighten out the problems and sell what's real and put aside what isn't real, isn't worn, isn't legit. And then it's just a case of having quality people, which I do, so that we get the starting goalies right and we get the game use right, and we stand behind it. I mean, that's why we have it's easy to have 100% lifetime guarantee when you're doing the work beforehand. So
if that's not the pitch that
it.
the collectors are looking for, I don't know what'll get them.
Yeah,
I'm going to go next level. Barry, have you ever thought of having teams work with photographers to photo match jerseys while they're being worn in game?
Yes, there are some cities where we have guys who help us do that. It is part of the process. In theory, Getty Images does a really great job. So right now, with the new stuff, since Getty Images is the official photographer of the NHL, and we have a working agreement with Getty Images, we do get enough images from every game to be able to authenticate that way. Yeah, we've talked a lot about having a personal photographer to take pictures of jerseys for our purposes. I mean, the funny thing is, if we had a photographer, he'd be taking pictures of elbows and backs of jerseys, and who needs the guy's head in the picture? So we have talked about that, and it is something we've considered, and in some cities we do have people helping us.
Now, I'm super curious if you can speak on it. How did the entire NHL auctions thing went down? Did Fanatics just come in and be like, look, NHL, here's a crap ton of money, bye?
I have to assume so, because, obviously they bought the rights to everything, so they bundled everything together, and that's what the NHL got. When we discussed our role with the NHL, we told them bundling it together is a huge mistake. I'll go back to the concessionaires approach. I said to them, you wouldn't get one cook to cook 19 different types of food. this is a niche market. I think by dumping everything with one vendor, you're making a big mistake and hurting the collectors at the expense of the almighty dollar. And you could see what they chose.
Is there a chance that we can see it go back to the way that we have enjoyed?
There's always a chance. I'm a firm believer. I'll give you as evidence. We've had the Tampa Bay Lightning, lost the Tampa Bay Lightning, had the Tampa Bay Lightning, lost them again. We've worked with the Kings twice and on and off. Teams regularly are, I believe, they're empowered by working with us, feeling they know, oh, we know now how to do it, and then they move on themselves and they come back to us. So will the NHL come back to us? I hope they will learn their lessons. The thing I will say, and I've said this many times, and I'm happy to say that to this group, if you tell the league, if you write your letters and send your emails and support or don't support a group because of the quality of their work, that's how they'll get the message. They won't get the message unless people stop buying. If everybody buys and accepts this level, then there'd be no reason for them to come back to us if, in fact, they're interested only in the almighty dollar. Are they? Well, I mean, the proof is in what they've chosen, the quality of the work they've chosen. So we're hoping that eventually they see the error of their ways.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
Well, going on that point you just said, Fanatics just had an auction in yesterday where there was no bids on any of the jerseys.
Yeah, we watch it pretty regularly. We know. I think the collectors are speaking in that way. The only, I don't want to say problem, the fear is that since GameWorn is only a small piece of the Fanatics whole bundle, will it make an effect? I'm hoping it will.
The really unfortunate part to that is I scrape all the auctions, so I pull all the data and see what everything's going for, and through all my scrapings I gotta weed everything out, all the pucks and the this and the that, so I like to get all that data. What you see is they start all their auctions, all the jerseys that they have, at a ridiculous price, and then if it sells, it sells, and then after 2 rotations they drop the price. Then they go 2 rotations, drop the price, and it's not a real auction. It's
right.
We're gonna try and put this out there. If it gets bids, it does. If it doesn't, we're gonna drop the price later. They're not really trying to sell. They're just trying to pull money. That's really what they're doing.
Barry.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one of the things, and I pitched this to the NHL, I pitched this to every team, one of the things we're very conscious of, and I suggest the teams be conscious of this, and I educate them on this, is that there's a market and a secondary market that must be considered. I mean, the game-worn jersey hobby is vibrant and continues to grow because of the secondary market. And what you're just saying, Derek, is an example of Fanatics having no interest in the secondary market. You can start a jersey as high as it wants. If it doesn't sell, you drop it. You're right. That's not an auction, and that's also not a way to keep a secondary market vibrant.
It's not a way to keep your customers happy when they spend $10,000 on a jersey and see an identical one drop to $3,000, 2 months later.
You look at all the Blues fans right now. They're up in arms. They're mad at the team. They're not just mad at Fanatics. They're mad at the team for going with Fanatics. And that's a huge problem for them, because then it's like, you might be losing other things, not just game-worn jersey sales, when the fans are that pissed at you.
Right, we understand. And the Blues have our number.
Go ahead, Tom.
I was going to say, I'm one of the ones that used to collect Blues, but because of what's happened lately, I've, gone in the process of getting rid of my Blues jerseys for that very reason, where it's like the market's so flooded. It's like, what's the point of even keeping it? It's like, I think a couple of the guys that figured out they wore, I think it was 19 different sets or 18 different sets last year, when they were saying, we're going to keep it limited because we want to keep that 50-year patch. But then they had like all these sets, and then, Fanatics can't sell them on auctions. And then what ends up happening is they go on eBay, where you can buy them there. Even though they have it on auction, they'll put it on eBay as one of those buy it now prices instead of doing an eBay auction.
They have it on eBay. They have it on their store. I've seen them post stuff on Amazon. They try to put it, they flood it out everywhere that they can just to get eyes on it. That's their entire MO, because they think if they get more eyes on it, there's a higher chance that it's going to sell. Whoopie-doo.
Okay, so here's the question. Barry, what's the sweet spot then? What is the sweet spot for most teams in terms of how many jerseys they release to the public each year?
I think it's 3 sets with the understanding of the small number of additional specialties, whether it's a retirement night for a player or 2. The shirt, most teams are doing a shirt off their back, but I don't call that a set. It's a one-gamer that goes to the fans for free as a thank you. That's not a marketable set, and those jerseys almost never hit the secondary market. So some teams and some MeiGray teams, because of the supply-demand ratio that I also think has to be taken into account, if you have too few jerseys, they will skyrocket, and guys with deep pockets will buy them all. I'm a little concerned about that with Vegas. If I wanted to, I'm sure there's a lot of big buyers who would pay big money and close out a lot of regular collectors. So there has to be a real balance, and I call it, and I pitch this to the teams as well, taking consideration of the supply-demand ratio. If I suggested the Golden Knights were only 2 sets, and I put them both up for auction, they may go for $3,000-$4,000 a common because they're going to be so rare. Now, that might help short-term the Knights and MeiGray, but that's not going to help the market in general, and it's not going to help the Knights long-term. So I definitely would recommend against that. They saw that right away, and nobody said, let's go that route. But that's
so
something that could happen.
by 3 sets, you mean 6 jerseys overall, not including the specialty ones, right?
3 homes, 3 roads. Yes. When I say 3 sets, it's always the home and road. Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty reasonable, man. Who's going to complain about that? That's what's 6 into 82? That's a lot of wear. That's over. Yeah. That's 12. Well, when you count the specialties, that's 12, 13, 14 games. And
that's generally where we are. We generally look at a good, solid set as 10 to 15 games. When thirds exist, most teams wear thirds 12 to 15 times. We have 2 sets of thirds, so you get 6 to 8 games. One of the reasons for 2 sets of thirds, collectors going back 10 years before when the hobby was much smaller than it is now, MeiGray, why do you need 2 sets? The team doesn't need 2 sets of thirds. You're only gouging for more jerseys. I had 2 explanations there. One was related to hockey ops in the locker room, and one was related to the market. And the market answer was 1 jersey per player. You're going to have those big bidders bidding up high and closing out the smaller guy. So I thought you needed 2 sets. The other reality is a lot of teams need a backup. You can't go with 1 jersey per player an entire season in case a fight, a jersey gets torn, a jersey gets misplaced. Most teams always have a backup set in their locker room. So teams were usually producing 2 sets of the thirds, 1 as a backup, 1 as the main set. And I just said break them in half. It's best case scenario. Again, the supply-demand ratio being part of what I take into account.
And it obviously sounds like you do a really good job. Everything that you talk about makes complete sense. I mean, we can even use it, practical examples. Like, I pay $1,500 for a Luke Glendening jersey, a 4th liner, because they wear 1 a season. This year they wore 2. So, I mean, you're definitely making sense. If there were more out there, it'd be cheaper per. Yeah, granted, the overall might be more money as a total, but it's spread out over a number of collectors as opposed to all being in one lump sum. So you take the good with the bad on that, and the more collectors that are satisfied, the better off you are as a company.
Yes, and what I always add to that, that's exactly right, Derek. And the other piece that I add to that, and this is where MeiGray sort of works as the conduit, is we recognize that there's also a hockey operations piece to this. If a team only had 1 set, they'd be limiting themselves as far as hockey ops. I've told teams in all cases, you need to, backups help you if your equipment manager 2 games in 2 nights and you can't get jerseys properly washed. When it comes to the Stanley Cup Finals, believe it or not, there are some teams that only have 1 jersey left with a finals patch. And I know in mid-June, because I've been in those locker rooms now for 17 years monitoring the finals jerseys, as you guys know I do. You got guys that are sweating. There are a lot of guys that need 2 jerseys just because it's mid-June, and those jerseys weigh 20 pounds after a period of Stanley Cup Finals skating. And they need
Barry, you're wrong. That's what we want. We want the sweat, Barry.
We want the guys out there to be slow and our team to lose,
Yeah, Yeah.
No, I understand that, but when a jersey weighs 20 pounds, the shipping's going to be like $80 for a super shirt.
Okay, I got a question now about, because you're talking about, we're starting to talk about wear. I mean, it is, like Derek said, I'll play devil's advocate here. It is good to allow more collectors to have more jerseys at an affordable price, given that MeiGray can unload their inventory, which I'm sure is the goal. But at what point does it get to be that where you're not really seeing a lot of wear on the jerseys, and that's kind of diminishing the value for certain collectors, right? Because when you look at the vintage stuff, the reason people love to collect vintage is because they have the living shit beaten out of those jerseys, tons of repairs, But what are your thoughts on that, Barry?
Well, the first thing I'll say is I think you see me disappear. I apologize. My battery's running low, so I'm going to grab my charger. So that's why I disappeared from view. I'll be back in a second. Okay, but I heard everything you said. Wear is something wear's never going to be what it used to be for a variety of reasons. The teams are much more conscious of how they look. They're much more conscious. The companies are much more conscious of making the jerseys look better. And 15 games in this NHL, and this is the biggest difference. This NHL doesn't allow the hooking and holding. This NHL doesn't allow the clutching and grabbing. And believe it or not, the white tape, as opposed to the black sticky tape of a generation ago, does not leave the residue on the jerseys. We have seen teams wear jerseys for 15, 18, 25 games where it looks like there's one board burn and one mark. It's the quality of the garment and the way the game has changed more than anything else. Because there was a time when we were worried that a team's wearing more jerseys than they're telling us. I had Stu, for an example, take an Ovechkin that looked like it had 2 marks on it, and he photo matched it to 23 consecutive games. So it's simply a case of the game changing, the equipment changing, and the quality of the shirts being more resistant to the stuff that used to kill the old vintage jerseys. So I don't think.
And Ovi's changing into a big old pussy.
But even take the toughest of the tough. I can't remember. The Nashville jerseys look really good this year from sets 1 and 2 because Nashville is a team that they didn't have a third. They wore 2 sets in the regular season and didn't start their playoff set until the playoffs. In fact, no, let me take that back. They started. That's right. They started their playoff sets into the playoffs. Those jerseys had great repairs, but almost no stick marks. The guy had a really good solvent, really good cleaner, really good machines, and you couldn't find a stick mark on these shirts, even though we know they were worn 20, 25 games because of the repairs. So I think it's a question of newer and improved material, solvents, washing machines, and don't underestimate that the game has changed so much now, because in the old days, the equipment left, again, the tape on the sticks and the stick marks and the old kinds of sticks and the clutching and grabbing. So it's a whole different story. I will say one thing. The new Adidas jerseys have more seams. We're really interested in the construction of the jersey is such that we're really wondering if there are going to be a lot more repairs because of the more seams that have the potential to break apart. So it'll be interesting to see when the first sets come if in fact the construction is different than the Reebok shirts.
Well, like you're saying with the solvents, I bet you've seen examples, I've seen it, where you have a picture of the jersey, you know it's the jersey because you can match it to an artifact, but in later pictures, some of the markings go away.
Absolutely. Yep, we see that all the time. What blood? I mean, there's very rarely any evidence of blood on the jersey anymore because the league cracked down on that about 10, 15 years ago in the wake of the health issues, and the teams have these enzymes that they've gotten from hospitals and medical organizations, and I've seen a jersey bloodied go into a washing machine and come out look like it's game issued. It was amazing. So
what's MeiGray's stance on that? If you receive a jersey with blood in it, do you have to clean it off?
Well, the teams that we very rarely get them with blood. If we get a jersey, actually, there are examples. If a guy bloodied his shirt the last game of a set, or if a guy bloodied or ripped his shirt in a fight where the jersey's ripped and torn, and the equipment manager can't reuse it and goes to the backup or the next set, we'll get a bloody, torn jersey. We'll leave the blood on. We won't clean it. We know what the collectors want, so that's a rare occurrence. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, I have one of those jerseys I got from you with the back shoulder was just ripped apart, and it was just because it was that David Savard Blue Jacket. It was like almost the end of the season, and it was like instead of repairing it was just I think use the backup set. Because I got from you, and I did not know there was just this massive hole in the back of it.
Yeah. To me, that's still one of the beauties of the game-worn hobby, that we are subject to hockey operations, and what's bad news for a team, a ripped jersey, is great news for us. And if we can time it right, where we get that jersey before it's taken out of play or before it's repaired, and sometimes getting it as is great. And we always coach the equipment managers to look, do what you have to do for hockey operations. We understand your locker room comes first, but if you're thinking if a jersey's a problem to you, if you think it's destroyed, hey, we'll happily take it. It's not garbage. It's not something you have to think about. It certainly works within this framework.
That sounds like a really good segue to get an opportunity to talk about the Nashville Predators thing. I know I had got a couple calls from Stu to make sure I knew what was going on in regards to the radio show so I could let him know. Might be a great opportunity to have it straight from the horse's mouth, huh?
As far as which situation with Nashville?
The Stanley Cup Finals and the semifinals? Conference Finals.
Yes. They started wearing, and I want to get my facts straight, but yeah, they started wearing this set in the semifinals because of the game use. That's right. They stopped set 2 after the second round, where they had scheduled to wear it up to 3 rounds. But it was simply a hockey operations issue that, I don't want to say the Nashville Predators didn't think they were going to the finals, but it's a lot different situation when you're a series from going to the finals, your jersey's a beat to heck, and you're saying, we want to have a nice new set for the semifinals, which will carry on into the finals. So it took some changing around, and every one of my contracts includes the fact that hockey operations and what the team is doing to win the Stanley Cup takes precedence over what's going on with our facilitation to collectors. So as long as the same number of sets, they were going to carry this over into the finals. There was going to be the second set of finals where the collectors could have one and the team can have one, which is always in my contract. And we agreed it's the right thing to do because that's what the team would have done if this hobby didn't exist. We always kind of look at, when I see that when an equipment manager calls me and says, what should I do here? I can show him the contract, but I also always ask the question, what would you do if this hobby didn't exist? And when Pete Rogers, who's a great equipment manager, one of the veterans of the Equipment Managers Association, said, I've got a set that's beat up beyond belief. My GM, my media guys, they're watching the games on TV. The jerseys look horrible. I need a new set. Then, of course, that was the answer. Wear the new set, and we'll carry that set into the finals. And the collectors, we told everybody right away, and they either understood or didn't. If you thought a jersey was going to be worn one more round and we allowed people to cancel, I wasn't really concerned because interest was so high that if someone was going to be stubborn enough and say, I don't want Ryan Johansson's jersey because he wore it one less round than he was supposed to, even though this was becoming a historic season, we gave him his money back and sold it to someone else.
The keynote to take away here is hockey ops is king in the entire situation. You have to, not only are the customers, the collectors, your customers, but the team is also your customers too. And you have to kind of cater to both. And one is not giving a shit about the collectors because they're trying to win games. And they've got other things to worry about, keeping jerseys clean, keeping them usable, as well as like you were saying earlier with the TV contracts and the high definition. It's just, you have to do what's right by all parties, and sometimes it takes a little bit of mediation, is what it sounds like.
Right, that's true, and I believe that that's the right thing to do because ultimately the true collector wants the jersey because it reflects what happened with his team that season. I couldn't, I don't know any Nashville Predators collectors who said, God damn, my jerseys were beat because my team is playing like hell to get to the finals. I'm not going to take this jersey because I expected it to be won in 2 more games because that's what your contract said back in September, as opposed to, hey, this jersey is beat to hell after 2 rounds, and my team's going to the semifinals, so that becomes a much better jersey historically for what I'm trying to collect.
All right, so Barry, since we got just a little bit of time left before I have to do some shameless plugging, what would you say is the best thing to happen to MeiGray lately, or your greatest accomplishment recently? I would say in the past 3 to 5 years.
Boy, that's a tough question. I think the thing I'm most proud of is that we've maintained the consistency of what we're trying to do for the collectors with all the realities of the game. Many more jerseys being suggested by the teams. Many more outlets. There's nothing wrong with making more jerseys if there are many more collectors. I've said to the teams, a team that where there once upon a time were 100 collectors, if there are now 200 collectors, you really could have double the jerseys and have the same supply-demand ratio. So we've kept those numbers consistent, and I'm really happy that in a day and age where everybody thinks they can do this themselves, we still have a stable of 8 to 10 teams. The only other thing I'll say to that is I think our greatest achievement is the contract we signed with Connor McDavid. We've got the best young player in the game, and we convinced him and his team that because his stuff is so valuable, every piece of equipment that he wears should be properly authenticated to protect himself and to service the collectors. And for a guy like Connor McDavid and his team, his parents, his agent, the Oilers, to recognize that that's good for the hobby and good for the team and good for the player, made me really proud. And we had a really successful first year with the Connor McDavid Game Used Equipment Program.
And an entire program circled around just one person. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, well, he's a pretty incredible player. And I mean, imagine if Crosby did that 10 years ago. Imagine if every Crosby stick that came into the hobby was authenticated, dated, and put to a period of time. It'd be great for collectors. Mm-hmm. It strengthens the market and strengthens the secondary market. Nobody knows now if a stick that Crosby gave away or was sold by the Penguins 8 years ago was used in a game, used in a practice, not used at all. But we keep track with the cooperation of McDavid and the Oilers of everything he uses.
So wait, is that through barcodes, or is that through date stamps on the sticks, or what is that?
Again, it's all of the above with the additional thing, the hard sweat equity that MeiGray does. We photo match, we check the game and the item. Going up on the website tomorrow morning is the last white helmet we got from McDavid for the year. We photo matched it to all 19 games he wore. So the equipment manager tells me it went into play on this date, it came out to play on that date, and we didn't take his word for it. All the barcodes in the world, all the holograms in the world do not tell you that he wore it in each of those 19 games until you do the photo matching.
Oh, 100%, dude. I think we're all on board with you on that one, man.
And that's what we did. So it was so cool. I mean, my guys are getting sick and tired of looking for little tiny marks on a shield for 19 games of it's monotonous work, but it's necessary to keep this hobby robust, keep the collector confident of what something is, and keep this market strong and legit.
So the final question I have for you, and it wouldn't be Game Worn Radio if I didn't give you a little bit of burn notice. Why does your team suck, and why is mine so good?
Well, what team? My team, the Vegas Golden Knights. They haven't played a game yet.
Yeah, they suck. They've lost every game.
Who are you talking about?
I'm just making shit up because my team sucks ass right now anyway.
Well, because you're a Red Wing. You had a 25-year run.
Your team is the Golden Knights and not New Jersey? Is that what you're saying on record?
Well, I'm on record as saying I root for my program teams, so I'm slightly.
He's got 10 teams.
Kidding. If you were in you were in my house right now, you'd see that I'm a New York Ranger fan going back to when I was doing my journalism homework up in the blue seats in the 1970s. So my team in my heart of hearts is the New York Rangers, but I don't deny that right now I root for my programs, and I'm really excited about following Vegas. So I think you could put me down next year, unless Edmonton starts 8-0. I'm a Vegas Golden Knights fan.
We're gonna hold that to you. Do any of you guys have any questions for Barry? I'm gonna open it up to you guys to do a little banter if you'd like.
What's the deal with the Leafs programs or the Leaf program, Barry? Are you guys in on that this year or what?
Do they have a program? I think they, from what I understand, they haven't been selling the last couple of years.
I haven't been able to find shit.
Yeah.
So, no, we took them down.
It's another one of those where I'll give you my standard line I say for every team. We're always talking to teams. We're always asking questions. We're also always open to deals. We've worked with the Leafs before. We'd love to work with the Leafs again.
Can I get you to say a cuss word, Barry?
I'm sorry?
Can I get you to say a cuss word?
He did. He said one earlier.
I did?
Did I miss it?
Or was it that Marco? I couldn't tell.
It was probably Marco.
No, I didn't say Red Wings.
An ass.
Here's my question. Who's
cold.
The one team you would love? Who's the one team you would love to come to MeiGray or come back to MeiGray? Either one of the two.
It's the Leafs. Give me a break.
Nobody likes the Leafs.
The Rangers would be great because they're local. I'd love to have the Rangers back. I'd have to say the Rangers.
Rangers it is. Any other questions, boys? Nordiques.
thanks.
Somebody says Nordiques.
Nordiques.
Nordiques. That would be cool. That'd
There
be
you
cool.
go.
I love Quebec City. I'd like to see, I'd love to be on top of every expansion team because, as I said at the beginning, to be able to chronicle for ourselves, for the team, and for the collectors, the jerseys from day one, I think is a really cool thing. Because wouldn't we love to have some of that information for teams that we've been collecting over the years and we have no idea what they did way back when?
Awesome. Hey, I want to thank you, Barry, for coming on. Obviously, if you'd like to stay on the show, we still got about 13 minutes. We're going to open it up to a little bit more of a discussion as well, so feel free to participate. And if you ever want to come on again, just let me know. We'll get you on again. It's been an awesome time to talk to you, and I'm sure you'd have a lot of great insights on some of the stuff that we talk about just on the regular. To open up the open discussion for the night, we've got notice of our activity. We're going to be doing something with GameWorn.us and the classic stuff. Some of you guys might know Larry Pelliccioli. He works a lot with movie stuff too. They're doing $1 or $1.99, not $1.99, but $1.99, $199 grab bag plus shipping. They've got a selection of 26 jerseys. And it's really cool how it's going to break down. So it's kind of like, it's playing off of the MeiGray draft idea. When you purchase the grab bag, you're going to put an order of your preference 1 through 26 of the jerseys that you want. So the jersey you want the most at the top. And when you purchase something, what they'll do is they'll send you a playing card in the mail. So you're going to have a suit and a number, and there's going to be 2 suits, 2 numbers. And what we're going to do here for them is we're going to be opening up our deck of cards. I'm going to shuffle them up and I'm going to draw them live on the radio, and we're going to see who gets what. I'm not going to have a list of anybody's orderings. I'm not going to have a list of names or anything. All I'm doing is saying this card, this card, this card. So the people who watch live, they can see what order their picks are going to be. And Larry and GameWorn.us, they're going to be figuring out who gets what, and it's a really cool system. There's some really neat jerseys in there that I was actually looking at. So again, it's $199 for a jersey. There's 3 movie worn jerseys, and you know the classic stuff works a lot with movie worn jerseys. I know they've had Miracle jerseys on there, Mystery Alaska, which I wish I could find one of those for an amount I could afford, because I love that movie for some reason. I don't know. Speaking of, the worst hockey movie ever is Youngblood, if you guys have ever seen it. So that grab bag's going on. We're going to have an article on it. Hi! We're going to have some information posted on the website about the grab bag, we're going to have the list of prizes and how you can get and reserve your grab bag. So it's limited to 26. If it's successful, they're going to add more on so we can do 13 in a whack. Because, there's 13 cards in a suit. And it's just that much easier for me to open a brand new pack of cards here, shuffle them up. So I get to do the fun stuff of pulling out cards. I just don't get to be able to see, like, congratulations, you're a winner. But at least that's a way to be a little bit impartial, so that's kind of fun. So look for that article coming out. Get prepared, check out some of the lists of jerseys that are available, and fun stuff with that. What do you guys got on your docket for GameWorn stuff right now? What's going on in your world?
Hey, buddy, I just scored a Mike Gartner 95-96 playoff or 96 playoffs.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did, sir. I drove all the way up to Montreal, and I got it from a Montreal Canadiens collector, and as you know, I'm a Leafs collector, so I had to bless myself with holy water before I walked into his basement. It was a Canadian shrine. I felt very odd, but the collector was awesome, so always nice to get a score.
I just got word as well. Larry's going to be monitoring the show that night, and he's going to be letting me know live as I'm doing the drawing who's what, since I won't know. So that'll be cool. So people that are watching will know what they get when they get it. Kind of neat. All right. So I do want to pick a bone with you. You're getting married, man. How are you going to buy jerseys?
That's it, man. That's why I got the Gartner, because I'm getting married. But that's it, man. After that, I'm fucked.
You're in sell mode right now.
Yeah, I'm in sell mode. Yeah, I got to pay for the wedding. I wouldn't suggest getting married to any of you guys, but hey, you only live once, man.
It's too late for me.
Yeah,
Marco, what's your boyfriend's name?
Andrea?
GameWorn Radio.
Yeah.
Hey, Derek, I'm gonna say goodbye. I'm gonna slip off now. I gotta go answer some emails.
All right, Barry. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks
Thank you very
for
much.
having me. Thanks, you guys. Have a good night.
See you, Barry.
Bye, Barry.
That was a good time having Barry on, huh?
Bad information.
Yeah, we ought to get these guys on there more often, huh?
Barry should be a politician.
Sorry, Marco. I couldn't resist the joke.
Hey, I don't mind, man. No worries.
No, you got
Barry-
to, man.
He wins both ways.
Barry's very, man. He is an ace, man. He really answers them super politically correct. He doesn't slip up at all. He's got an answer for everything. Good businessman.
You got to give a little bit of credit where credit is due. I did try to burn his ass real good.
Yep.
Well, not burn his ass, but like try and get him to talk about stuff. But hey, you know what I thought was super cool is I thought there was going to be some stuff he's not going to be able to talk about. And he was just like, whatever. I like that. I like that.
I like how he talked about the competition. That was
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was what I was trying to burn. Like nobody in the right now is going to
beautiful.
talk about competition like that. Barry will. That's sweet.
I was exactly what I was hoping he would say, and you can see the proof that he, some of us complain about some of the stuff, but you can't complain about what he does in the hobby, like keeping it authentic and keeping it real, and not like it's not put on the back burner like, oh yeah, we have some of these game warrants and you guys can buy them and whatever. Where he's like, no, I want to match it, and the fact he has a team that looks at the photos, I thought that was really cool.
Well, check it out. I mean, the best way to describe it is it's their business, but they care. Like, they ride that finest line as far as you can in the middle between business and collector-centric.
They're the
We had a
cream
good
brand,
conversation
man.
at the expo.
Yeah, I should have asked him some questions about the expo, but we had so much shit to talk about.
No, I mean, I had a good conversation with him at the expo. I'll have to share something funny with you guys off radio that's pretty humorous.
Man, everybody wants to hear it now.
Well, I can't because it's nothing about MeiGray. It's a story that I have that it involves a picture, but it's well worth hearing. I'll tell you guys then.
Well, look at that. We're in a time constraint anyway. You probably wouldn't have time to tell the whole story anyway. So.
Yeah, you're right.
Is it longer than 6 minutes?
So yes.
But, yes.
Do this, man.
I was like weighing it out, like doing a Zen diagram.
Yeah. Hey, you guys get any good scores lately?
I picked up a Holmstrom.
Hey, there you go. Well,
I got a Mel Brigman.
Dude,
I'm
I
trying
don't
to
fucking
sell.
remember what year I just bought it. It's not even here yet.
I'm trying to sell to fund another purchase, so that's where I'm at.
Ooh, you know what's pissing me off? The Crunch auction's going on right now, right? And somebody's been outbidding the fuck out of me on the Witkowski jersey.
Oh, that's you? No, it's not me. I'm just kidding.
Oh, thank God, dude. I was gonna have to light you up. I was hovering over this end call button on your face.
Bring the noise, brother.
Man.
Give a shit about that, Derek. Is he a Red Wings prospect?
Yeah, he just got signed by the Wings.
Oh, there you go.
Can I bring up a topic real quick?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
What? Well, I know Derek really loves to post on his site, and I'm going to start doing it and being active in posting like sale items there because he's very conscientious of wanting stuff in one spot, and I get the meticulous nature of wanting to do that, and it's smart. But on Facebook, when you post something and you're like, listen, I got these jerseys to trade and I have them if you want to make an offer, and you get bombarded by 400 messages saying, what's the best price you can do? Can you throw in shipping? What price point are we at? And I'm like, whatever happened to make an offer or make the trade? You used to have to, like, if you want something nice, give up something nice. And these people... Oh, I am, but it's just frustrating that nobody, like, they won't even give me like a crap jersey. Like, oh, I see you have that Stanley Cup Finals jersey. How about if I give you this ECHL jersey and trade?
Dude,
they won't
Facebook
even
isn't
do that
for the
to me.
collector. You need to understand that Facebook isn't about the collector. It's the lazy man's fucking media place. It's
what,
not.
Can I ask a question? An open question.
Support it all.
What is these people's time worth? Like, for you to fucking, like, how many people are you messaging with your bullshit trade requests, getting nowhere, wasting all of your time, wasting their time? This is not a cheap
You need
hobby.
to think about it and how it's designed and how everything works. Facebook is about being able to easily spew as much bullshit as you can as fast as possible. And what does anybody in this hobby worth of salt do? They put their time into it. So if we only see you on Facebook and you're only doing Facebook interactions and shit, and we're not seeing you anywhere else, you're probably not worth a salt.
Yeah, that's true. It's very true.
Damn, I'm not worth a salt.
Dude, you are not worth a salt.
I'm gonna get that Toledo jersey.
Toledo jersey.
Or Crunch jersey, I mean.
So
Bid
Derek,
me up.
okay,
Come on,
Derek
let's go.
scored a Holmstrom. Who scored something else?
I got Trevor Gillies' Kelly Cup red jersey, the one that modeled after the Capitals.
Holy shit, dude!
Oh, that sounds like a cool jersey.
That's a fucking great jersey.
Yeah, he wore it all season in what Kelly Cup's playoffs.
Dude, I saw some video of him beasting on somebody not that long ago.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to get him on the radio show.
Do it, you won't.
I got a Mel Brigman or a mid '80s Devils captain's jersey. That's pretty cool.
Oh,
nice.
That's a wicked score, dude. Is it pretty beat up or?
Sadly, no. It's that last year that Jerry Cosby style, and it's that heavyweight mesh where it like absorbed the wear like a sponge.
Yeah. You know what? I got some of the 90. I got a 91, 92 Fuhrer, and I know for a fact he wore it for about 10 games, and man, you can almost it's photo match, but you can't see a lot of wear on it. It's pretty sad, you know.
Is there a little holster for alcohol on it?
There's a few cocaine stains on there, so that's how I photo matched it.
It must be the white set.
Yeah,
That was
yeah, exactly. It started off as the blue set and it turned into the white
Any
set.
lines? Are there any lines on it?
that was the nice thing that Barry said about the wear, how the wear's going away on jerseys.
Yeah, we'll be curious to see with that Adidas material.
Yeah.
I find a lot of it comes down to the trainers and how much they're willing to, how much work they're willing to put into it. You know.
Mm-hmm. Some of them will scrub that shit until it's like.
I really think with the one I got from Barrett. Oh, sorry.
No. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I really think the one I got from Barry, like I said, with the sleeve, the back of it, the back shoulder is ripped off. I think the manager said, you know what, forget it, I'm not going to repair it. Let's just do the backup set. I don't feel like sewing it.
I've seen it before.
There's some managers that they'll take a pinhole and put a repair on it. You know?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, now they got that tape.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Calgary uses the tape for some things, and other times they sew it. Depending, I think it just depends on the size of the hole and everything, really.
Yeah.
All right, boys. Well, that's the time that we have, so we'll go ahead and we'll get something figured out for the next time. Appreciate you guys joining. It was really cool to have Barry on. You got to admit that was awesome.
Oh yeah.
100%.
All right, guys. Well, if you guys want to stick around, we'll bullshit after. And in the meantime, hey, thanks for joining.